Okay, I'll call the Board of Supervisors special call meeting to order November the 2nd, 2018 at 5 p.m. And I'll remind the board members we have an agenda, and the only things that we can discuss and vote on is these things on our agenda. With that being said, Appalachian Regional Expo Center Construction Committee Chairman, first item. Change order number 12, propane tanks.
Committee recommends approval of change order 12 in the amount of $12,914 to install concrete pad and conduit extension for propane tank.
Okay.
Contract documents did not indicate the pad would be provided by the owner.
Okay, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Open the floor up for discussion. Stephen, you want to give a brief summary?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the contract document said pad to be provided by owner based on the number of tanks. Hall Propane has 4 tanks sitting out there ready to go in. This change order provides for all costs associated with the conduit up to the building, the pad itself, the gravel, and the excavation of the pad. Time is of the essence on this because we'd like to get the pad in, get the heat hooked up that way before we get into cold weather. With our sprinkler system in there, we don't want to have any freezing issues.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
Mr. Baird, the sprinkler system's been installed, and I assume it's charged or filled with.
It has been. They're doing some work on it. Backflow prevention's got to go in on it. Yes, it has been.
Mr. Chairman, I've had several complaints about the timing of this meeting. This is definitely, I think, a need to protect the money, tax money that's invested. So I will be voting yes for this, but I'll be voting no for the rest because of the timing of the meeting.
Well, all of it's due to the timing with the asphalt plant and everything else before it gets cold. Stuff that's got to be completed. Any other question or discussion on change order number 12?
I did have a question, Mr. Chairman. This money has already been appropriated in the budget, correct?
Yes, this is all within the money that is appropriated for the Appalachian Exposition Center and the capital improvements budget.
Okay. And one more question. We cannot heat the building without this. The heat cannot go in without the pad. Okay.
Let me clarify that. There are some electrical heaters in the restroom areas and HVAC in the meeting rooms, but the main building itself is heated through this propane.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. McRoberts?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Next item, change order number 13, sidewalk extension.
Stephen, you just go ahead, please, and read those and give an explanation of each.
The committee recommends approval of change order number 13 in the amount of $5,735 for the installation of 75 feet of stamped concrete connecting sidewalks on the western end of the building with sidewalk near the northwest entrance. The contract diagram and documents did not include the sidewalk in this area. If you'll remember, there was originally a proposed change order in the amount of $9,691 that was not recommended on this. Change order after negotiations by the county engineer has been changed to $5,735. This connects those two parts, and it is the same sidewalk, stamp design, and everything that's currently out there with the rest of them.
And if I may, this will connect the ticket booth windows with the west side handicap sidewalk that gives access to the arena floor. So without it, you don't have a connection for handicap access to the arena floor from the ticket booth area.
Thank you, Mr. Baum. Again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any more questions?
Yes, just to clarify, I thought we had already voted for this. Is this?
What you all had talked about before when it was rejected was a cost of about $4,800 to do this. And they came back and it was not, and I don't remember 48 or exact number, but they came back and Mr. Baum reran the calculations of that, including the stamp part of it, and that is the amount.
And the base concrete is what we voted on is pretty close to $100, $150. The increase, $200, $300 is for the stamping so that it matches the rest of the sidewalk around it. base concrete is within range of expectation.
Mr. Vaughn, the stamping that you're talking about, that originated as a donation from the contractor, correct?
It was
But now they're charging us so to match.
for this last pool piece, yes.
So if this does not pass, do we go back to what we already voted yes on, for it not to
If
be
you don't
stamped?
approve this purchase order and they don't approve the other price, we just will not have that 75-foot of sidewalk through there.
Okay.
Any more questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
No.
Yes.
No,
Yes. Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes 5-2, one absent. Next item, Mr. Bear, change order number 11.
The committee recommends approval of change order number 11, which deletes change order number 2. Change order number 2 was approved in the amount of $89,790 for the installation of 4 inches of 21A and block coat type D, basically prime and seal. This change order is proposed to be replaced by change order number 14. And if the committee or board would allow me, I'd like to go into item number 4, change order 14, to explain this one also, if that's acceptable to you all.
Yes.
Change order number, or item number 4 on there, the committee recommends approval of change order number 14 in the amount of $190,000 for construction of the asphalt of the access road and the handicap parking lot using 2 inches with about 2 minutes paving in lieu of the block coat seal application. The county will purchase the stone for the project, which is estimated at $9,000 for the parking lot and $21,000 for the access road. And the reason why the other one's been deleted, it was to have the prime and double seal in the parking lot as opposed to the asphalt. They have not put that in as they pushed us last year in talking about getting that change order in place so they could do the parking lot. They end up grading it out and using it as a construction area and staging area, but they did not do any of the finishing work for it. As they were negotiating with their asphalt or paving provider on this, they came back and recommended this change order in the amount of $190,000 to come with a 2-inch paved surface on all of the access road and the parking lot, which is more desirable than the prime and double seal that we had on there. This amount total does comply with the amount that was taken out of the contract when this was originally approved, and it's in your package here. There was a deduction for the asphalt of $220,000 taken out. The goal at that point in time was to, the committee had recommended that when it came back, the original plans called for prime and double seal. The goal was later on, it came back to get a cheaper price, not on prime and double seal or paving. So this does provide us with the paving for the access road, which is from Ready Mix Road all the way down to the stormwater management pond next to the building and the parking lot. Be glad to answer any questions that anyone has on this.
Anyone have any questions?
I do, again, sorry. But just to clarify once again, this money is already been appropriated, but I still have the concerns that we're running out of money. And when all the money in that budget's gone, it's gonna be county funds that have not been already appropriated going to it, being asked for.
I included in your package about 4 or 5 pages from the end, the budget status that shows our current status. And your correct law says the goal of trying to continue to monitor these as to the money, the funds that we have left and what needs to be installed. And I will mention, part of the reason for the committee's recommendation is the timing on this is as we get into cold weather, the asphalt plant shuts down based on when the cold weather sets in. Waiting until our November 14th meeting, the contractor can possibly move forward on this as early as next week if this is approved by the board, and we definitely should be able to get it in without any concern of the asphalt plant.
Do we have to have it to open?
We do need the handicap parking lot to be hard surfaced. The access road, would just be gravel all the way in. And I would not recommend having it as a gravel road. It could be used as a gravel road all the way down through there, but I do believe you'd have a better product with the pavement all the way through there. That's my opinion.
Any other questions? And I'll remind you, this is change order number 11, deletion of change order number 2 we'll take up first. Come from committee, it doesn't need a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
No.
No.
Yes,
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes. Now, it's already been explained, change order number 14, Askex Road and handicap parking. Any more questions before we take a vote? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. McRoberts?
Aye.
No.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Budget transfer and amendment to the bleachers. Mr. Barr, will you summarize this?
Yeah, basically, if y'all remember, we got the money that's sitting in a side account that came in from the Appalachian Agricultural Acquisition Center, the Horsemen's Association, and requesting transfer of $200,000 from that account into the general fund and amending and appropriating the same for the purchase of, or payment of the bleachers. Mr. Jordan has indicated to members of the authority his goal is to be in here next week to start working on installation of the bleachers. The contractor does have the pad area ready and developed for them to put the bleachers on.
And the materials on site.
Okay, is there any more questions? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Next item is Ready Mix Road improvements and budget amendment. This is for the county. This is not concerned with the Apex Center. Mr. Barr, you want to summarize?
Yeah, basically what you got there, the committee recommends amending and appropriating $66,776 to 4100-470063 road construction, Ready Mix Road. In addition, the committee recommends awarding the Ready Mix Road drainage improvement contract to King General Contractors in the amount of $66,775.20. If you'll remember, we were approved for revenue sharing from the Virginia Department of Transportation for them to overlay and take Ready Mix Road into the state system. One of their requirements was, though, the curbs and gutters existing and failing between the gas stations, Burger King down there, needed to be repaired and replaced, and also improving the drainage structure underneath the road, in the back of the parking lot areas there. Mr. Vaughn prepared a set of plans and put those out for bid. King Contractors, there was 3 bids that were received that are in your package. King Contractors is the low bidder. King Contractors has done work for the county before. In order for VDOT to take the road into the state maintained system and maintain it in the future, this is work that needs to be done on this section of the road before they'll do their work.
Again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. This is to approve awarding the contract to King Construction and amend and appropriate $76,776.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Barr, just to clarify, Mr. Chairman said this doesn't pertain to the Expo Center, but Ready Mix Road is the access road that.
Ready Mix Road is the access road that is, accesses the only current access to the Apex Center.
And the only other land up there is owned by Salem Stone, correct?
No, well, obviously you've got the businesses on your first party, and to the right up through there is owned by Dorton Trust out of Abington, Bristol area. Salem Stone owns the property at the end of the road, and Mr. Umbarger owns property right past our entrance to the Apex Center.
And there's another company that owns land right behind, well, I guess the filling station owns all that behind there.
It's another parcel, you are correct, but it's owned by the same company that owns the gas station.
This will improve access to the two gas stations and Burger King, and won't it improve?
This will make all of that through their estate maintained road, so yes.
It will also help the other landowners, Thornton and
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so if it's not a state-maintained road, it will end up costing the county more money in the long run?
It's ours, we'll have to maintain
The
it.
county owns that 60-foot strip of land through there. So any maintenance on that road, any repairing of the potholes, any of that is the county's responsibility currently on that road.
Snow removal too.
Snow removal, yes.
Is there any way we can know how much that road benefits the county with the two gas stations? And the trucks that use the parking lot behind it?
Obviously, we can give you the numbers for the real estate tax collected on the two businesses there. Beyond that would be, we're not allowed to get exact numbers from the Commissioner of Revenue's office on meals and things like that that come out of it. That's proprietary information that she's unable to share. I could give you those numbers for all truck stops and restaurants in the area down through there. But that is a large contributor to the tax base, and it is a large, all the truck stops are a large contributor to our meals tax and also a large contributor to our water and wastewater department.
And we do want it to be successful in that area, so.
Any more questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
No.
Yes.
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 And the chair votes yes. Okay, that's all our items on the agenda. We do have a meeting Thursday at the school board, so we'll recess until 4:30?
4:30, yes.
4:30 at Fort Chisholm. We are in recess.